So skipping down to example 5, it says eggs shipped to market are packed 12 eggs to 1 carton. So I'm going to highlight that. And we're basically building conversion factors. And I love this example because it's something that is almost a little bit nonsensical, where like you can't go Google how many eggs are in a carton or blah, 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 because there's different sizes of these things. And so this is a real skill that you have to be able to apply to things that are not standard. 20 cartons to 1 box. And then we say a crate holds 4 boxes. So 1 crate equals 4 boxes. And then crates are stacked on a truck, 5 crates wide, 6 crates deep, and 5 crates high. Do I have another highlighter? So 5, 6, and 5 for crates on a truck. And then what we're looking for is how many eggs, so eggs, are shipped in 5 truckloads. So what we're going to start with in this one, our given information is 5 truckloads, this piece right here. I highlighted it in orange because the only information we have about the truckload is this. So I'm going to start with 5 truckloads. I'm going to abbreviate it as trucks. And then I'll draw a long line. Give yourself plenty of space. And then just to make sure that I don't run out of room on the end, I'm just going to say that that equals some amount of what? What unit am I trying to end in? Eggs. So again, even if you don't know how else you're setting this up, you can earn yourself a whole lot of points just by going through it like this. So I'm going to take this one. So 5 gives me a point, the trucks gives me a point, and eggs. So that's 3 points so far. Even without knowing where we're going next, for sure, what would our second move be? After you get it set up this way, if I have trucks here, what can I automatically do? Disco it down. So what am I going to disco down? Do I put 5 trucks in the bottom? The unit, just the unit, so trucks, perfect. So what we are looking for in this is, do I have a conversion factor that will get me from trucks closer to eggs? So then I have to do some math, because the way that this one was presented, it says crates are stacked on a truck. So I'll try to draw it. So you've got your truck. I'll say like back there, that way. Okay, your truck is 5 crates wide, by 6 crates deep, by 5 crates high. So my question is, how many crates are on one truck? Can we tell with the information given how many crates would equal one truck? What did you say? 150. So we would multiply 5 times 5 times 6, which gives us 150. And that's a conversion factor that's given to us in this. It's kind of disguised since it's super long and it's not just a straight equivalency. So because of that, you would get extra points for being able to calculate it. So one truck, or one there, is equivalent to 150 crates. So I used my orange conversion factor. That's this one. If I have crates up here, I need to bring crates to the bottom. I know that a crate holds 4 boxes, so I can go from crates to boxes. Boxes. So 1 crate equals how many boxes? 4. That's using my blue conversion factor. If I have boxes up here, I'm going to just go down that unit. So boxes would come to the bottom. Where could I go next? To cartons. So I know that one box equals 20 cartons. Don't worry about the grammar for one boxes or one crates or one trucks. We get the gist. Okay. And then finally, if I have cartons up here, I'll bring cartons down to the bottom. And then from cartons, I can go directly to eggs because I have that conversion factor. So this is finally using that one. And I know that there are 12 eggs to 1 carton. So because of the way that I set it up, notice that I used each conversion factor only once. We're really not going to use the same conversion factor multiple times in one conversion, because if I were to go, let's say for example, if I put boxes up here and I went crates to boxes and then I did boxes to crates, you're just undoing the work that you just did. So we're never going to go like back and forth in that way. There might be a few small exceptions, but it's converting to something else always. So if I have trucks on top and trucks on bottom, those would cancel. Crates on top and crates on bottom would cancel. Boxes on top would cancel with boxes on bottom. Cartons on top would cancel with cartons on bottom. And then I'm left with eggs as my unit. And then to solve this, again, remember what we did up here, where every time you cross the vertical line on the top, it's going to be multiplication. And every time you cross the vertical line on the bottom, it's going to be division, because this line represents the same thing as a fraction. So it's going to be 5 times 150 times 4 times 20 times 12. So type that into your calculator. So you should have gotten 720,000. Is that what you got in your calculators? If you typed this in and you did not get 720,000, that means you typed something wrong. So 720000. Again, I didn't write that on the line because that's not my final answer yet, since I haven't taken into consideration significant figures. This number for 5 truckloads was my starting information. That's what I would call my given. I need to match the same number of significant figures as my given. So since my given is just 1 digit, it only has 1 significant figure, which means that this number needs to also have just 1 significant figure. So I'm looking at my first digit. If I look at the thing after that, that's what's determining if I leave the first thing alone and turn everything else into zeros, or if I round it up. Is the 2 going to round the 7 up, or leave it alone? Leave it alone. So this would just be 700,000. And then just for the sake of finishing up how you're going to be graded on this, let me grab a different marker real quick. So remember, you got 1 point for your number and your unit in the first box. You'll get a point for your number and your unit, number, unit. The 150, since we had to calculate that and there's a potential that you could have miscalculated it but tried to do it right, I would usually give you 2 points for a calculated number used in the boxes. The number, unit, number, unit, number, unit, number, unit, number, unit, number, unit. Correct answer, rounded correctly, and correct unit. So this would be 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 points. The reason I always show you this is because I want you to understand that the process is why we're taking so long to teach you this. You can go on your calculator and type this in, or some people are able to just look at the conversion factors, know that they're going to be multiplying things, and figure out how many eggs it is. And that's great. That is definitely a skill that's going to help you, not only in this class, but in a whole lot of other classes. But in this class specifically, I know what's coming later, and I know that we're going to have 15, 16, 17 step problems where there are things that you cannot keep straight in your head because of the types of numbers that we use. When it comes to molecules and formula units, converting using Avogadro's number, and all of this stuff that will come later. So the process is really what we're trying to nail down right now. You definitely need to show your work. And even if you don't understand every single bit of the math part, you can earn yourself a ton of partial credit by showing me and demonstrating that you understand the process. Make sense? Perfect. Okay, now I want you to go back on your own and use only the conversions that are available to you in this conversion factors chart to solve example 2 on your own. So I'm going to pause the video real quick, and then we'll come back and check our answer for that. All right, on example 2, several of you took different approaches, so I'm going to do both of them in 2 different colors. That way you can kind of compare. Either way, you're starting with 2.5 miles as you're given. So 2.5 miles. You'll know that you're done when you're in what unit? Inches. And then no matter what, if you have miles up here, what else are you going to do? Disco it down. So I'm going to leave some space, like a finger's worth of space, and then put miles. And then from miles, in our conversion factors chart up here, there were 2 places to go from miles. So miles to meters or miles to feet. Did anyone do anything else? That's it? Okay, miles to meters, or miles to feet. Which one do you want to do? Preferences? Meters? Okay, so I'll put meters on the top. So if I choose to go from miles to meters, I'm using that conversion factor, meaning I'm going to put those numbers next to the units in here. So 1 mile is equivalent to 1609 meters. Meters is right here, so I'm going to disco down meters since that's not the unit that I'm looking for. And then I need to find another conversion factor that uses meters, hopefully one that gets me closer to inches. So in this case, meters to inches was right underneath it, so that's probably an easy one to pick. This one would be, so inches. Once I have the unit I'm looking for, I don't need to keep going. You're not going to disco it down because I don't want that to cancel. So between meters and inches, 1 meter equals 39.37 inches. My miles will cancel with each other, meters cancels with each other, and I'm left with inches. When I plug this into my calculator, I get 2.5 times 1609 times 39.37. Then I would divide everything by the ones on bottom, or you really don't have to type that in because we know it's not going to change our answer. So I'm trying to show it to you without the glare. Okay, in the calculator, can you see that number okay? It says 158,365.825. So this number has a ton of significant figures. Every single digit that's up here is significant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 significant figures. But our final answer needs to have how many sig figs? 2, because it's matching the 2.5 miles. So with 2 significant figures, if I round this, I'm rounding those first 2 digits. So 1, 5, except the 5 is going to round up because of the 8. So that 8 is going to round the 5 to a 6. So this would become 160,000. Make sense? I'm going to write down that number just so that we have it. So 158,365.825. I think it's always good practice to put that number. I don't know why I boxed it in. Just in case you have to go back through and like revise how you're doing your significant figures. I wanted it so that I could compare it to the other answer that we get, because if you went from miles to feet to inches, you would actually calculate a slightly different number. So I wanted to go through that one. So same thing, we would start with 2.5 miles. I'll disco down that unit of miles. I'm still going to inches. And then this time, instead of going miles to meters, I'm going to go miles to feet. I know that 1 mile is 5,280 feet because of my conversion factor that I have up here. And then I would disco down feet. And I would need to do feet, hopefully getting closer to inches. I'm sure that's on here somewhere. There. Okay, so 12 inches is 1 foot. So I can go from feet to inches. And I know that 1 foot is 12 inches. And then we would plug this into our calculator just like we did with the other one. So let me type in. So 2.5 times 5,280 times 12. And this gives us 158,400. So if I'm looking at these two numbers, they're close to each other, but they're not the exact same thing, which is why we use significant figures, because when you round to the correct number of significant figures, the slight difference in how accurate these conversions are gets kind of evened out. So we would end up with the exact same number for our final answer after we rounded 2 sig figs. So I would still round those first 2 digits. The 8 would round the 5 up again. So you end up with 160,000. So the answer was 160,000 inches. It does not matter how you got there. I did see a couple of other students go to yards. That was all I saw was yards. So I'm wondering maybe if you went like miles to feet to yards, back to feet to inches. So that one was a little bit roundabout, and that's fine. You can do that. But you should still make sure, as long as you're following all the rules, you can kind of like loop back around and still come up to the right thing. That, I subbed in her room yesterday. It's the sink. Look, every time they turn on the sink, that's what happens. Isn't that crazy?
That sound is weird.
I know. It sounds like drilling to me. Anyway, questions on any of the ones we've done so far? Cool, I'm going to stop this here.